So I hadn't watched that before that. So that was really cool. And he said something really important. He said, I'm going to keep searching until I find. Right? Which kind of ties into what we've been talking about. This whole idea, this whole concept of finding me, finding you, finding who you are, right? So what that means for those who haven't been here, or for those who've missed it, is a lot of people come to college and they're determined to find themselves. You ever heard that statement? Anybody ever heard the statement, find myself, trying to find myself, going to find myself, let me find, right? Okay. We said the first night it was one of the best breakup lines, right? You ever want to break up with somebody, don't give them a good reason, just tell them, I'm just trying to find myself, right? They don't know what that means. And most times we don't know what that means, right? We're lost, but we're trying to find ourselves. And so we know our names, we know where we are. And so what finding myself really, what it really points to is kind of trying to figure out purpose, right? Because one of the worst things I find is doing anything without purpose. What's the point? What's the point of your life? What's the point of your life? I'm asking. What's the point of we're interactive. That's cool. It's okay not to know. It's okay. What about you? What's the point of your life?
To make music.
To make music. What kind of music?
All kinds.
All kinds? Can you sing? Because you know I will throw this mic at you. She said to make music, not to sing music.
All right.
Oh, you rap?
Yeah.
Oh, bad. All right, don't leave until I talk to you. Yeah. Wait, well, here's my thing. If that's the point of your life, why don't you love to put that on display?
I do, it's just not all the time because I feel like I do it too much.
No, you don't do your purpose too much. Never. You can never be you too much. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you can ever exhaust from being yourself, then that means what you've been being isn't who you are. Does that make sense? Yes. A chair loves to be a chair because that's what it was created to do. When you when you know who you are and you perform why you are, then it's when you start veering off from that it becomes exhausting. I love being me. I get tired from being me, but I don't ever want to be nobody else. When I get home, I'm exhausted because I am a busy person. It is written in my nature to be busy. I don't know what to do with time when I have it. I have to do something. Everyone always says, you always be. That's who I am, and I'm exhausted when I get home, but I love being me. Because when you know who you are and why you are, there's no greater feeling than to perform that which you were made to do. So if you were made to make music, then every time a platform is offered, your purpose is like, ha! Here it is. Here it is. This is what I do. This is why I am. Ha! I do this. I do this. You understand what I'm saying? So if that's who you are, and I'm not saying it's not, because I don't, you would know, I wouldn't know. But if that's what you are, then you don't get tired of doing that. You don't get tired of being who you are, right? That's what this is about. This is about figuring out my purpose, figuring out my why, because people go through life tired, all because they haven't found the right track of life that was written for them. And that's why you have people who commit suicide, and that's why you can have people who are rich and have everything that you could possibly want and still are searching because they're not satisfied with who they become, because who they become is not why they were made.
That's right. That's good.
Y'all know people like this, people who search. And they're searching everywhere. They're searching in their dorm, they're searching in somebody else's dorm, the next floor up, that person's friend's dorm. They're searching everywhere for something. to give them purpose, because people who live with purpose are passionate about performing it. And life without purpose gets old. It's exhausting. It's tiring. It's boring. It's frustrating. It's pointless. So that's what we've been, oh, okay, cool. You're so good. So we've learned that life is a lot like Legos, right? Life is a lot like Legos. You get a whole bunch of pieces. They don't come put together. And you've got to just figure out what to do with all these pieces of life. You got pieces of life that you got from your parents. Pieces of life from every experience. Every experience you ever got is a piece of life. You got pieces of life that come with your friends. That came with your enemies. That came from school. That came from on the plate. Everything is a piece of life. And you got to figure out, what in the world do you do with all these pieces? How do I get some form out of all this mess? We said that we're the only things in life that have to go looking for our purpose. Everything else comes with instructions. Go buy a speaker. It comes with how to set it up, how to use it. Buy a computer. Same thing. Life. When you were born, the doctor did not give an instruction of life on how to use this child and what to do with this child and how to raise this child and what this child would be. It did not come with birth. You gotta go searching for it. Right? So last week we talked about, okay, step one, what do I do? How do I figure this out? And so Christ says, I've come that you would have life and have it fully, have it with purpose, right? And so he says, in order to do this, you got to follow me. And in order to follow me, you got to hear me. You got to hear me, which means you got to know my voice. And so that's what we talked about last week, knowing the voice of God. Not just hearing it, but we got to know what it sounds like. If we hear his voice, then we must choose to follow him. But the thing about following God is oftentimes he's talking about stuff that would require me to do things I don't want to do. When God speaks, he's speaking for your better, but sometimes it doesn't feel good. It's like when you were given peas as a child. Well, I like peas as a child, so maybe that's not. Oh, no. What's the other little things that comes in succotash? Lima beans. I love them now. Now. Not at 8. No, they were not going to get eaten. Anybody ever seen Crooklyn?
Yes.
Remember the scene where he just sat all day, ate the peas was on it? Y'all remember that? Little brother just ate the pea. Okay, that's cool. I have a clip next week. God often gives us things that we don't want. And so what we would rather do instead of telling God no, because that's just rude, and most of us aren't rude to God. What we would rather do is just not listen to him. We just don't want to hear him. We act like we don't hear him. If I don't hear him, I can't tell him no. Right? So it's by default, it's the better thing to just not listen. Because I know he's going to say something that I don't want to hear. So I just won't call him. I just won't pray, because I know he's going to give me instruction that I don't want to do. And it's disrespectful to tell God no. So out of respect, I'm just not going to call you. We're not going to talk until I need you. And then you can tell me yes. That's how we do God. That's how we do him. So what's the next step in finding my purpose? And so there was a challenge we had last week. How many of you guys did the challenge? Did you do it? Every day? 30 minutes? Did you do it? Every day? Okay, that's cool. You did it?
Yes.
You weren't even here.
Well, Melina gave me the
Come on.
information.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I did. Of course I did.
Did you do it?
Yes.
I didn't do it, guys. I was so almost there, and then I got tired one day from being me. So listen, I asked God why this one came before, should have come before last week, but it didn't, and I was wondering why. Why we're talking about today should really have come before. And so hear this out. So Matthew 16:24 says, then Jesus said to his disciples, if anyone wants to be my disciple, he must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. And so this week we're talking about the decision. Deciding. And so I asked him, I said, God, why would you have us start about hearing your voice and start about being disciples? Why would you have us start this and then go backtrack and say, and say, except for this should have been done first. And he made a real simple statement. He said, people have to evaluate, because I knew people weren't going to all do it. All right? I was included. I knew someone was going to miss a day. And I'm not trying to, crucify nobody, because, it happens. But he says we discipline ourselves to do anything we want to do. Right? What's your favorite show? What's your favorite show? This one with the glasses. Not you with the glasses. Your favorite show? CSI? When does it come on? And you watch it? When you can? Cool. What's your favorite show? Pink? Anybody watch Scandal? Amen. Real Housewives of... Let me tell you something. A few years ago, I was dating someone, kind of, and we used to, Sundays we would hang out, we would watch the game. That was what I needed to do. Then afterward, they would make me watch Real Housewives of Atlanta. It's like when it first came out, maybe second year or something like that. And I was just like, come on, right? But I made them watch the game. So I had to sit there every night, 8 o'clock, and every Sunday night, 8 o'clock, watch this show. And so after about 4, 5, 6 shows, and we broke up, I found myself continuing to watch. I'm just going to say that. I watched it, all right? Nene was so crazy, I just needed to know what she was going to do this week. And so every week, Sundays, I made it my business at 8 o'clock to not be busy, to make sure that I was planted in front of a TV to watch this show. I was disciplined in my mind to do what I wanted to do. And that's what we do, right? We discipline ourselves once we make a choice to do whatever it is that we want to do. Right? For those of you who are athletes, you had to be disciplined to train, because the training would make you better so that you could win a championship, or whatever the case may be. So whenever we decide, with decision comes discipline. So so God, the Spirit of God was speaking to me, and He let me know we had to revisit this. Had to, put the challenge out there. Knew some folk were not going to completely do it, myself included. And He says, and now we got to go back and talk about that. Are you disciplined enough to find your purpose? Because you're not going to get there by accident, right? You're not going to get back. If you got questions in this, you can throw them out. I'm not going to wait till the end to do that. So He spoke and He said, if a man wants to be my disciple, right? He says, if a man, which means you don't have to want it. You do not have to want to follow God. You do not have to want to get to your purpose. You don't have to want it. You can create a life of your own. We talked about that. These are your pieces. So, if you want to throw away half of them and try to do something with the other half, if you want to say, I don't like this piece because it hurt too much, and I don't like this piece because, it reminds me of something, and you want to toss the pieces away, you can do that. But Christ says, if a man wants to be my disciple, he has to make the decision. He has to make a decision. It is a choice to find your purpose. That's why everyone doesn't get there. Because if it weren't a choice, if it were just it's going to happen, right, then everyone would be walking in purpose. But then we already said that if everyone was walking in purpose, how is it that people are killing themselves off? Right? Because people who walk in their purpose love their life. You love it. It gets tiring, but you love it. But if I love myself, if I love my life, if I'm walking in my purpose, and it gets hard, but this is what I'm meant to do, so it's okay. I'm graced for this. I was created to do this. If I'm living and walking and loving in my purpose, then why would I kill myself? Then why do people kill themselves? If I'm loving and walking and living in my purpose, then why can't I seem to decide what I want to do with my life? What about the people who never decide what they want to do with their life? So it's not a given. It is a choice. And here's what happens. The way to destiny is where your purpose is that through that of discipleship. And all that starts with a decision. So this is how it goes. Oh, right there. Cool. Sorry. So destiny, that's where we're trying to get. We're trying to get to purpose. Trying to get to purpose. But in order to get to purpose, I need direction for my life. I mean, I have to follow God. But in order for me to have direction, I got to have definition. Which means I got to seek God. And I'm not going to seek God if I don't want God. I got to make a decision. I went to the store yesterday and I was in a car and I was on my way home. And I decided this is the time of year where caramel apples come out. You like caramel apples? Okay, I love them. Okay, can eat all three at once. I can promise you. I love them. I'm going to eat when I get home. In the car, I decided I want one. I want three actually, but I want one right now. So I sought which store was closest to me and which one would be open because it was like 10:45. And Food Line was open, it closed at 11. 10:45, 11. I was like, I'm 5 minutes away, I'm going to speak, I'm going to get there, right? So I wanted one, I sought where I would get it. It sent me in the right direction because it's closing, so I didn't have a lot of time to waste going in the wrong direction, okay? So it sent me in the right direction, and I got there and got what I wanted. Now, I know that seems asinine, the whole idea, but I did that to say that's how it works with purpose. I got to make a decision. God, I want my purpose. I want to live the life you've created for me to live. I don't want to be nobody else. I don't care how great any other people are. I don't want to be the next anything. I want to be the only me. So God, I want this. So God says, cool, if you want this, I got to define this search. You got to define it. Okay, God, I'm going to define it, which means I need to seek you because you're the only one who can define my pieces because I don't know beyond what I've experienced. Fine, I'll define your pieces. That sends me in the right direction. And instead of wasting 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of my life, I can do this thing soon. I can do it early. I can walk in my purpose now. I don't have to wait until I'm 50 and having made all these bad decisions, having had kids out of wedlock and dated the wrong people and having done all this stupid stuff, searching. I can be on the right road in the right direction that will give me the destiny. And all this decision, definition, direction, to destination, all that equals discipleship. All of that is the sum. It's all discipleship. All of that summed up is discipleship. Why? Oh, y'all remember this? Okay, so this is why the decision is so important. A few years ago, this guy, Mr. James, was applying for the Cleveland Cavaliers. You guys remember this? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's not important if you remember that. Anyways, I'm going to sum it up. Playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers where I guess they were not doing as well as he would like. Contract expired. He said, I'm going to think about if I want to come back. And ESPN made a really big deal about it. All the sportscasters were following what they dubbed the decision. And every coach was wondering, what is he going to do? Cleveland couldn't make any moves until he decided what he was going to do. Miami couldn't make any moves until he decided what he was going to do. LA made no moves until he decided what he was going to do. And this is why the decision is built on the foundation. It is the foundation that determines everything else. It all connects. They couldn't do anything until he made his decision. The people who run the budget and the finances of teams could not do anything with money until he made his decision. Because what if he decided and they had to, let money and stuff go? They can't go spending if they don't have it to support his salary. And so all these things, everything in life is affected by this decision. Do I want to be a child of God? Do I want to be a disciple of God? Watch what Paul said to the Romans. He says, for the creation, all of creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. What if I told you that there are people waiting for your purpose? So, what if I told you that some song that you're going to write is going to change the world? It's going to inspire someone to become an activist and start a movement that transform a life, that transforms a community, that transforms a nation, would you want to write that song? Right. That's how purpose works. That's how it works. The world who does not know about this, the world who's not in here tonight, the world who thinks that life is good, you make your own decisions, you define your own life, those people are waiting for those of us who know God and who are walking and trying to get to purpose and who ultimately walk in our purpose. They are waiting for you to make the right decision. Some of you have family members who are waiting for you to make a decision. Some of you are leaders in your own family. They don't listen to nobody else, but they call you when they got issues. Like they not twice your age. Some of you are the forerunners for higher education. And so your younger siblings and younger cousins are all looking at you. And I know we like to think that being the role model and being the responsible one isn't fair, but can I tell you that just might be written in the purpose that is your life. You might have to make the tough decisions that sacrifice what you want to do to walk in what you're supposed to do so that other people who are connected to your purpose can live in theirs. Because the thing about purpose is this, it prompts other people's purpose. Purpose prompts purpose. I can track every major decision I've made in my life to this point right here, and somebody was connected to it. It was purpose for me to be here in this moment at this time. That would not have happened without this person in place. Which would not have happened had I not met this person. Which would not have happened if I would have done this. And I look at my life and I'm old. I should have been finished with this school thing. So had I would have done that, I wouldn't be here today. Then there would be no rec. There would be no Finding Myself series. And who knows what this will spark? Who knows who's going to be touched by this? Who knows? Same thing with your lives. Same thing with your purpose. It prompts another purpose. It ignites somebody else to chase after their purpose, to chase after their why. It perpetuates progress, because here's what happens. It's like in a machine. It's like a what do you call it, an assembly line. Each person has their own task, and if they don't do it before me, if their task isn't done before me, it hinders my being able to do mine. And that's kind of how it works. Purpose is connected like that. So if you ignore your purpose, I wonder who's connected to you waiting on your decision. But if it's ignored, then what becomes of that nation of people who... Watch this. Christ was in the garden going through it because his time to die had come. And though he was all God, fully God, he was still all man. Which means decision was still in his hands. And so he's suffering. He's in anguish. He's sweating blood. It's torture in his mind. And he says, God, let this bitter cup pass from me. Please. He says, nevertheless, not your will, not my will, but your will. God, I don't want to die. What if he just said, God, never mind, it's too much, I'm good with dying. I'm not, we don't have to do that. Then what would have been of us? What would have been of us? Purpose prompts purpose, and it perpetuates progress. And let me tell you something, folk have been rejecting God a long time, rejecting this idea of becoming like him, this idea of walking in purpose for a very long time. This is in John 1. It says, he was in the world, Jesus, and through the world was made, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. But all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Children not born out of natural descent or of human decision or a husband's will, but born of God. I wonder why people have been rejecting him for so long. It's simple. The truth about decisions is this: they cost and they cause. a lot. I've made horrible decisions that have cost me a lot. And I've made decisions that cause a lot of change in my life. And what I know about people is we are cheap and we don't like change. So if it's going to cost me a lot, never mind. And if it's going to make me change, never mind. Because I've grown accustomed to who I am. Even though, truth be told, I really don't even know who that is. I really don't even know if who I am aligns with who I should be. But I've grown used to this. I've grown used to who I am. This is just the way that I am. But making a decision of this nature might change who you think you are. And a lot of people don't want to change. Because it's going to cost a lot. It might cost me some friends. It might cost me to be alone. And even though I can't stand him, at least he's here. Even though he treats you like crap, at least he's here. That happens. People stay with people they hate just because they're there. Because they don't like to be alone with themselves. Because it's torture being with yourself when you're not who you want to be. When you don't like yourself. No purpose. Can't stand the decisions you've made. A lot of us are there, have been there, will be there. Not y'all, but other people. Think about this. What have some decisions cost you? What have some decisions caused you to do? Just think about it. You don't have to answer. I wouldn't have you answer. Some decisions cost people their lives. Some decisions cost people their lives. Some of my decisions should have cost me my life. I'll say that. I should be dead. And I'm not speaking in the old church rhetoric. I could be dead, sleeping in my grave. No, I should be dead. Or at least dying of something. Because I've made horrible decisions. Oh, there you go. Here's what you got to understand. The greater the destination, that's what purpose is. That's where your life ends up. That's living and walking in what God has ordained and called for you to walk in. That's living your why. The greater your why, the greater the decision that you're going to have to make, which means the greater the sacrifice you're going to have to make. You guys aren't probably aren't house owners, but if you talk to someone who went from an apartment to a house, they had to make a lot of sacrifices. Because maintaining the new level of decision making costs more than it did to remain in the old level. It costs more to have a house than it does to have an apartment. Maintenance of a house is more than, you don't maintain your apartment that comes in rent. Maintenance does that. Some decisions, great decisions, require great sacrifice. So here's how we'll end this, right? I tell you, they've been doing this for a long time. They've been having this conversation for a long time. This is Moses. He's going to let these people. And finally he has his talk with people. God tells him to tell him this. He says, fine. Today I've given you the choice that should say between life and death, between blessings and curses. Now I call on heaven and earth to witness the choice you make. Oh, that you would choose life, so that you and your descendants may live. Right? Beyond existence is living in purpose, living fully. Choosing life means choosing to follow God. I mean, you won't carry a Bible around, but it does mean I'm seeking him because I want him. And in seeking him, I'm following him. because I got to get to where he wants me to get to. I got to get to life. Consider living outside of your purpose not life. That's not life. That's a cheap alternative. It's like, it's okay, got it, perfect. It's like Chipotle and then the stuff they serve in the pub on Wednesdays. I think it's Wednesdays, right? You know when they get their Chipotle, yeah? It's not, I had it the other day. Not as good as Chipotle. I was like, it's just rice. How can you mess up rice and beans? Believe me, people will find a way to mess up rice and beans. Think about it like that. Every day you live outside of your purpose, you are saying, forget about Chipotle, I want Chipotle. It's just as good, but it's not. It's not. It's a cheap substitute for the real thing. Life outside of your purpose is Chipotle. To God's Chipotle. It's the best thing I got. To God's Chipotle. But y'all get it. Y'all understand what I'm saying, right? All right, that's all that matters. Life outside of purpose is what? Come on. Chipotle. I don't want Chipotle. I want Chipotle. I want the Pope. So, that's it. Go up to all the way to the beginning where it says announcements. So that's it, right? So before we take questions, if you have any, I didn't do this last week and I was remiss for doing this, but if anybody wants prayer, if anybody wants to make the decision to try, and then I'll pray with you in doing that, or you just want to pray about something, let me know. You can come up and I'll pray with you. Because the truth is, it's really hard to do this thing by yourself. And it's really hard to do it by yourself on a campus where most people are not doing it. And it's really hard to do it by yourself on a campus where most people are not doing it and being young when the attraction is to other stuff. Because I'm not going to lie to you guys, the road isn't always fireworks and, cute. But it's Chipotle. And let me tell you something, that cheap substitute gets old after a while. And after a while, they're going to start looking for something else, but you'll have the real thing. And you won't have to go through some of the stuff that some of these other folk go through, looking for what you have. I'm not real religious. I love Jesus. I go to church every Sunday because I love Jesus, not because I love church, even though I do enjoy my church. But I love Jesus. And it took me a while to get here. I was not always, and I'm not perfect. And it does not mean to be perfect. It means that every piece of my life, even my mistakes, even my bad decisions, right? Because I made bad decisions after loving God. Even my bad decisions, even my mistakes, every piece of my life I give to God. That's what it means. It means I'm trying. God, this is all it means. I'm deciding to be a child. It means I'm going to try my best to follow you. And if I slip, if I fall, I know you'll catch me. And I promise I'll get back up and I'll keep trying. That's what it means. Because you won't be perfect until you meet him. So the demand is not for your life to be perfect. The demand is for you to have purpose and for God to be walking with you all along the way. That's the demand. He knows you won't be perfect. He just wants you to follow him. He just wants you to want him. He just wants you to seek him. That's all it is. Not perfection, purpose, passion for him. So I'm going to leave that open if you want to. Oh, any questions? Anybody got any questions about anything we talked about? Did you do something? Okay. Don't do stuff. Click this button right here. Yep, no, down, left, yes, no, the other way, yes, boom. All right, two. Today is dorm day, so I think clearly you got that. I got you. And what we do is each week is we call it the Fishers of Men. And so basically each week is a theme, and if you bring people according to the theme, the person who brings the most by the end of the semester will win a $100 gift card, which will be real nice in December. I don't know what the end of the year is. All right, follow us. Please follow us on the _BSU to keep up with everything that's going on. This week is Halloween. We got something this week happening. I think Harvest Fest. If anybody want to go, I'll let you know. Next. All right. So next semester when we kick off, we're going to have a few other ministries: mind ministry, dance, drama, praise team, and band, and media marketing team. So if you're interested in anything, let us know. And if you say, hey, I can rap or whatever, because my purpose is to make music. I'm not saying anybody said that, but if that was you, or any other gift, you want to put it on display, put it on demonstration, sign up for artistic worship expressions that happens every Sunday. So instead of like the poem, that would have been, somebody doing something. So if you want to sign up, let us know before you leave, and we'll sign you up and get you on for one of these great Sundays that we have coming up next week. I think next. Thank you. All right. So this is what I was telling you guys about. This week is dorm week. Next week is org week. So next week the Sigmas are going to be in here because it's Church with the Sigmas. It's their week. So, that should be fun. I'm biased to Sigma, so that's my org. So I'm bringing them. So I probably will win. But if you want to try, you can bring people of an org. For a person that brings the most people, we'll tally that up, and that'll be you. So bring any org that is on campus, bring people. And the more people you bring that come from your invitation will get you the nod for the next thing, or whatever it's called. The thing at the end of the semester, the $100 gift card. And that's it. Lord, we just want to say thank you in this moment, God, for being who you are to us, being so great and so faithful to us. God, we thank you for this opportunity to have sat and listened, sat and heard from you. God, and whatever it is you spoke to us, we thank you for loving us enough to be faithful enough to us, to speak personally to us, even while you were speaking corporately to us all. God, you may have challenged some of us. You may have sparked something inside of us. You may have allowed some of us to do some self-evaluation. Whatever it is, we just want to say thank you for bringing awareness to our relationship with you and our walk in our purpose. God, we don't want to live a life that is a cheap substitute of what it is you have for us. And God, if we've been living that life, then forgive our ignorance. And we're asking to come into our lives, come into our hearts, our minds, take us over, overwhelm us, God, until we want more of you. God, we give you the right way to move, not just in this moment, but allow the words that you've ministered, the song that you've ministered, the challenge, and whatever it is you've told us to do, whatever it is you've spoken to us, allow it to minister to us even throughout our week, throughout our day. God, scratch our hearts until we're so uncomfortable until we're walking in our purpose. Put us on the track to where you want us to go, and allow us to make the right decision to be disciples of you. Because life without purpose is pointless. It's worthless. And so, God, we thank you for this moment again. We thank you, God, and we're lifting up every silent prayer, God, even the things we don't know about that are taking place that we need you to move in on our behalf. We're giving you the right way to move, God. We're asking you to align us with what it is you have for us, why you created us. God, we're praying for our sister Tamara, God, and her aunt. We know you to be a divine healer. We know all things work together. And so, God, we're giving you the situation, and we believe the power of prayer. We believe faith is still a relevant piece of life. And so, God, we believe that you will work a miracle in that situation so that people will see and know that it was only by your hand that there was a divine intervention. God, there will be a miracle, a great testimony after this. And we're excited even now for what you're going to do. And God, allow us to be walking miracles and walking testimonies. Do something great in our lives that point us to you, that bring us closer to you. Keep us as we leave this place, but never your presence, in your safety and in the palm of your hand. We love you, and it is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.